you have done a whole lot of dope in your life, man.
Man, I try, man. I try.
What took you on the path that you on now, man? What put you on that path?
Man, just wanting to bring the truth to things, man. I started with relationship books. And the reason why I started with relationship books, man, there were a lot of books out at the time, late 90s, that would give real janky relationship advice. You had books like Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and all that stuff. And it was real corny advice that really didn't work. So I said, let me do something. Let me put out a book with some real game in it that real dudes spit, that real cats can appreciate. And I wrote a book called The Art of Mackin'. 1999 came out in 2000, became a huge best-selling book. And that took off my author career right there. And then later on, I started to morph into documentary films because I saw there was a void. There was a lot of movies out here that showed us black folks in real negative lights. You have movies like The Help and Precious and The Blind Side, and all of these movies showed us in very subservient positions. And I said, no, we have to have a balance. We have to show the constructive side of black society. So I came up with the Hidden Colors series as an experiment. I didn't know if it was going to do good or whatever because nothing like that had been done before. We put that out, and that took off. So I like to try to experiment with different things, man, and kind of take risk and just stay true to what I'm putting out there, man. And luckily, a lot of it has been successful.
Yeah, you got a lot of different takes as far as like on race in America.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Things have gotten better. And me originally being from the Midwest, right, one thing I noticed is people will tell you how they feel out there.
Yes, indeed.
You know, you run across a white guy out there, he go call you a nigger. You know, he's go say what he got to say to you.
You know, in the Midwest, man, that's where most of the militia groups are. The white supremacist militia groups, they're all in Ohio, they're in Michigan, where I was born. A lot of people think that stuff is in the South. The militia groups where they're training for race wars and all that, that's in the Midwest. In fact, many of the race riots that we had were actually in the Midwest. When you see footage of Dr. King getting hit with rocks and stones, that's in Illinois. You know, a lot of folks don't know that. When you see folks getting whooped on with sticks and people fighting back, that's out here. They show the Watts riot footage and people think that it's the stuff going on down south, but that racism was all over the country, man. So people kind of try to regulate it to the South. It was all over the place.
Oh, no, it was all over the place. It's like I said earlier, they'll tell you how they feel out there.
Yes, they will.
I fought many a white boy, and they go squab with you.
Yeah, yeah.
They go squabble with you.
They'll catch a fade with you.
You know, they go running with you.
Yeah, they'll catch a fade.
And whereas I notice out here, I almost rather would have it like it is back in Ohio and Michigan and Kentucky and all them places to where you know where somebody stands with you out here. Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Right.
They're your friend, but I remember one time I had an incident to where a dude had butt dialed me by accident. We had just talked. And this is when I was working for a publishing company, actually. And I was talking to a guy that worked at Bug Music. He's no longer working there, but I was talking to a guy that worked at Bug Music, and he had said something like, "You black shit-colored bitch." And it was just like,
wow.
Who was he talking to? You know, you hear somebody on the phone, and I was like this. So I was listening, and it kind of rolled out for a minute, then I hung up. He called me back. Oh man, that was me and my friend. We joked like that. And I was just kind of like, whatever, coward. You know, go on and say what you got to say. I'm glad I know how you feel now.
Yeah, that liberal racism is real funny style. And that's the most insidious racism. So like in the Midwest, man, you mentioned earlier, many of those places are very conservative. So they just let you know what it is. They ain't gonna really play that game with you. And I can almost respect that to a certain degree. Out here, they'll sit there and act like your buddy, but they'll skin and grin in your face while they're secretly calling the cops on you. When we see a lot of these Karen videos with these white women harassing random black people, many of those are in liberal, so-called liberal cities, where they tell you that the hippie liberal white folks are better than the right-wing Republican white folks. They're the same, two wings on the same bird. We got to understand that. So systematic racism is a very real thing, and we got to understand that we as black people, we got to be more codified with each other. And that's how we protect ourselves from that.
Hey, you being a guy in Compton, right? When you were in Compton, it was majority black, right?
Yeah, black and Mexican.
Black and Mexican. So you didn't have too many encounters with racism, did you?
No, other than police, you know, profiling. You know, you was a nigga in khakis and a Raiders hat, you know, you were automatically symbolized as a gangbanger, so you know we got harassed a lot by the police. Didn't matter what color they was. A lot of them was black sometimes, you know, mostly. You know, you had a few whites and you know, Mexican cops patrolling, but it didn't matter what color they was. We just got harassed for being young black niggas living in the inner city because we were just looked at as, I mean, you know, gangbanging was going around.
Yeah.
Compton was full of gangs. So, and then, you know, I guess for the fact that probably none of those police patrolling grew up in Compton. So, you know, I always thought that was important to have police who grew up or, you know, came from those type of areas.
Neighborhood.
Then they would better know how to deal with niggas, you know what I'm saying, as far as we were concerned. But a lot of them motherfuckers didn't come from where we was from, so they looked at gangbanging and all that was just, you know, it was just senseless to them. So we got harassed for it, you know.
I was looking at 8 Shoes. 8 Shoes reminded me of some of my buddies used to wear the Nike Cortez shoes, similar to what my boy 8 has on. And I would roll with them because I was always neutral, but some of my guys, they were part of different sets. And when they would wear the Nike Cortez shoes, the cops would roll up and say, hey, that's gang paraphernalia, and then hem all of us up. So they were doing those like that all the time.
I remember when they started trying to ban certain attire in schools.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
at one point, you know, I could wear whatever the I wanted to wear at school. But I think by the time I got to junior high school, they had dress codes in school, and not for the fact of if you went to a private school and had to wear a uniform. Like, you couldn't wear certain hats because those were, you know, symbolized with, you know, every neighborhood had, you know, a baseball or a football cap that represented their neighborhood. So they tried to cut that out. They definitely tried to cut out the white tees at school.
Oh, yeah.
You could not wear all white tee to school, and you couldn't wear color shoestrings. So, yeah, they started trying to break us down as far as, you know, because they figured, I don't know what they thought, you know, that would stop certain.
Yeah.
But
that's racist as hell though, because when you start talking about Dickies and a T-shirt, that all kind of started out of people being poor. That's why you know, people being poor, and you know, you get your daddy's work pants and wear a T-shirt.
It was affordable attire. I mean, we wasn't going to the mall buying at the time.
The swap meet.
At the time, you know, everything was guess. You know, guess this or guess that. My parents wasn't going to buy no motherfucking $100 jeans and an $80 shirt. You get me? My parents, shit, when it was time to go school shopping, they might hand your ass $150 and say, nigga,
that's for the whole season.
You goddamn right.
Will grow like Pinocchio. We gon' tell you the truth and nothing but the truth. Gangsta chronic pose. This is not your average show.